organic PR can be amazing in terms of building profile visibility and leads and conversions without paid.
Yeah.
But you will always get a gazillion times more conversion if you invest in even a small paid campaign running parallel to your PR outreach. A great example of this is a client that we've been working with who has had like monumental site traffic growth since doing a PR campaign. And from the beginning, we said you must have a paid strategy running parallel, a funnel happening parallel, but they just didn't have the time and budget to make it happen. And their conversions were nowhere near where they should have been. And I could see that every time their media opportunities ran, I was getting retargeted with their competitors. So I always say to people that at the bare minimum, run a retargeting campaign so that you are capturing that. And that doesn't even have to be massive. It could be a $20 a day, something to convert that hard-fought traffic that you get from your media wins.
Yeah. Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. Today, I'm joined by Odette Barry. Odette is a headline-winning PR mentor who designed and teaches the popular Hack Your Own PR and Authority brand programs. She specializes in elevating the visibility, reputation, and leads for change makers because she knows that every leader has a story to tell. In today's chat, when I ask Odette, do you ads? We have a really interesting conversation about ads versus PR, ads and PR, or ads or PR. We really dive deep into some interesting PR products that are coming forward or editorial products that are coming forward that really are an intersection between paid and media. And it's fascinating. I definitely didn't know about some of these opportunities that I think could be really game-changing for emerging e-commerce brands as well. We also talk about what to do with PR coverage when you get it and whether or not you should be using it in your ads. I'm sure you'll enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Odette.
Oh, hello, my love. Lovely to chat to you here.
How you going?
Pretty great. Pretty great.
Awesome. Can we get started by just a little introduction from you and all your goodness?
Yeah, for sure. Well, where to begin? I am a publicist and a PR mentor. So basically, I teach people how to build visibility and win their own media headlines, but also create influence. So I have two programs that I run, Hack Your Own PR, which you are familiar with.
I'm very familiar with.
Yeah, and also Authority Brand, which is more geared towards getting on TED stages, building an influential network, and also getting a book published with Murdoch or one of the major publishers in Australia. So I've been running my business for almost 9 years now. Prior to that, worked in corporate communications and marketing across Westpac, TAFE, women's fitness. So I kind of have worked on the big corporate side, the public sector side, in the media landscape itself, as well as, running my own business.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've seen it all.
Well, not at all, but I do feel like in terms of knowing the mechanics of PR, I feel like I've got a really well-rounded view in terms of being in the shitty receiving seat of lots of really bad pitches when I was at women's fitness, through to being in big corporate machines and public sector with a lot of like approvals, red tape on any media opportunities, through to the agility of working with small businesses.
Yeah.
And so that I find is quite helpful in terms of knowing which headspace to jump into projects that we work with.
Yeah, amazing. And it is, I mean, I know from my corporate marketing days as well, whether you're if I think about through the agency lens, like client side or agency side, it is such a different experience. And I can imagine it's exactly
Wildly different.
in your area too.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think probably one of my biggest regrets is having not worked within the agency landscape prior to starting my business, because we always worked with agencies, but we were on the client side. And the client side versus agency side is so deeply different. And I feel like the mechanics and operations of running an agency business, I would have loved to have seen the inside scoop of that before starting my business.
Oh, I relate to that so much because I never worked in agency and now I have an agency. And I often say, I don't think we run like a normal agency because I don't actually know what that is.
We're just figuring it out.
Yeah. Just 15 years of figuring it out. Just slowly. But it is, I think, the traditional anyway, the traditional agency model is its own beast, is its absolute own juggernaut of hierarchy and task division and targets and pressure and all those things. And I feel like there's I wish I would have done a year or two in there to really observe and learn.
Yeah, totally. I feel like I'm always picking the brains of my friends who've done agency time to really get under the lid of like the thinking, but probably not too dissimilar to you. What I know of agency is the burnout culture and the abuse of hierarchy, like the lowest hanging, is it cogs? The lowest cogs, working the hardest. Because they're the cheapest. And also they're often, in the PR landscape, they're the ones who are out pitching clients to journalists, which to me is
crazy.
It's a travesty. Why would you have the least experienced person on the coalface, and why wouldn't you have the most experienced person interfacing? Because then the numbers would look so different in the media. Like journalists say that like they're getting hundreds of pictures every day, but only a fraction of them are actually strategically aligned to what they write about, valid. And they've been writing about their subject matter for decades often. And then they're getting these shitty, half-baked pictures from these poor young people who get absolutely slammed by the journalists. Like, and it's just awful. And it's more about how many pictures have you sent rather than
100%.
how intentional and curated and careful was the action. And that's kind of why I love teaching PR, because I'm like, I know that those young people are getting the headlines eventually, but they're also sending a bucket load of crap. So I know that if you actually teach how to do it properly,
oh my gosh,
your ability to cut through is like enormously valuable.
100%. But imagine at that age, and I mean, I see it when I get resumes when we're hiring. Internships are obviously such a big thing now. And imagine at that age, like you don't have the confidence to say, well, I don't want to send 50 shitty average things out. I've actually spent the day and I've made 3 great ones. Like, you know, and you would be absolutely demolished for, what do you mean you've only put 3 out? Like,
well, you don't even have the knowledge or experience to know that that's bad. Do you know? Or that there's another way, because you're only coming into it with blinkers on to what experience someone shows you. And it's not until you're 10 years older before you realize, hang on, what was going on? They fed me to the lions.
I sent a lot of emails. So true. And I think that's why I was really excited to have you on today, because this podcast is all about paid ads. And I also acknowledge that paid ads aren't the only way to have success, to grow awareness, to take people through that funnel to conversion. So I really want to have you on to ask you, do you ads?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And look, yes and no. So like a couple of like caveats to this question, in that I think best case is always an integrated marketing and comms strategy. And I'm sure that's what you preach, but also we're working with often small businesses that don't have huge budgets to do an integrated strategy. So organic PR can be amazing in terms of building profile visibility and leads and conversions without paid. But you will always get a gazillion times more conversion if you invest in even a small paid campaign running parallel to your PR outreach. A great example of this is a client that we've been working with who has had like monumental site traffic growth since doing a PR campaign. And from the beginning, we said you must have a paid strategy running parallel, a funnel happening parallel, but they just didn't have the time and budget to make it happen. And their conversions were nowhere near where they should have been. And I could see that every time their media opportunities ran, I was getting retargeted with their competitors. So I always say to people that at the bare minimum, run a retargeting campaign so that you are capturing that. And that doesn't even have to be massive. It could be a $20 a day, something to convert that hard-fought traffic that you get from your media wins.
Yeah.
That being said, for me and my business, I haven't done a lot of paid on my business. I probably could have had much better results if I did. But also, we have the luxury of being very capable at PRing ourselves. And I've been featured in most media outlets in Australia and a lot of the top ranking podcasts. And as a result, that has had a beautiful organic outcome for our business.
Yeah.
Definitely looking at more paid ads in our future.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess on that, what do you feel about running ads in anticipation of going out and getting pitching and looking for press? Do you think there's a benefit to actually try to increase your awareness a little bit, almost to get in front of the journalists that may receive your pitch in a different way before they actually get that email and open that pitch?
Yeah, look, I'd love to say that we've experimented with it, but I haven't. The one thing that I would probably say there is that for us, clients that have a big audience on social, it's so much easier to convert to media opportunities because you've got clout, credibility, visibility. Like those media outlets know you're going to bring traffic to them and not just an interesting story.
Yeah.
So that if it was about building audience so that you have those vanity metrics, maybe. But in terms of using it as a strategy to get in front of media, I'd probably be less inclined because I feel like that's a needle in a haystack in terms of finding that 1% of the audience that are actually decision makers in media. But in terms of building your profile, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. I agree. I think I've definitely been someone that hasn't ever really felt growing a big follower number should be a priority. And within my own business, it's something we didn't focus on, and we should be much bigger in terms of followership if we put the energy to it over the years than we are, because I think that sort of plumber thing where we whack on everybody else's business and not on our own. But I think over the years, I've come to realize that although that number doesn't need to be hundreds of thousands to be successful, but there is a volume that then stands out.
There's a tipping point, and it's an annoying tipping point that I really wish didn't need to matter. Honestly, I know there's clients that we work with that might have millions of downloads on another platform. But on socials, they might have like 1,000 followers or something like that. And that is hard for us to pitch versus someone that's got a couple of 100,000 followers. And it's not impossible. It's absolutely insurmountable because for me, it's not about your audience size. It's about the quality of your ideas. Because I can pitch, or you can pitch, a bad idea with a massive following and it's not going to get across the line. Maybe if you were, I'm just trying to think of like a relevant celebrity.
I know.
Like
Kim Kardashian, then I'm like, nobody cares about Kim Kardashian.
Well, sadly, the metrics disagree with you there because everyone clicks on those. But it's like a royal story or whatever. They can sneeze and it's going to get a headline. That's probably where the exception is when you are at like a full global recognizable name. But on that journey towards building credibility and profile, the quality of your ideas and your expertise and the newsworthiness of the things that you pitch is what will get it across the line every time over the size of your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the size of the audience is, again, like you touched on talks to trust. It's sort of, all right, there's a visible trust and credibility factor there. We're not going out to back someone that's completely unproven, and then that kind of falls away and discredits maybe what we do as well.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think it's less about trust, to be completely honest. Like, I think what journalists and editors are looking for is site traffic.
Yeah.
They're looking for audience. So even though they like that within the realm of things that they care about, trust is definitely in there. Are you a credible expert? But the reality is that they have to sell advertising and they need audience growth. And so they're always looking for people who they can piggyback on that is going to bring more traffic back to their site as well. So it's a reciprocal relationship between contributor, voice, and the media outlet itself.
I've never thought about it in that lens for PR. I've thought about it with influencers. Like I always say to my clients, don't forget influencers need content to influence. So although you're pitching to them, they also actually need you, because without getting supplied with things, they don't have anything to talk about. And I guess, it's really the same with PR and the media as well. You're right. Like they're going to absolutely be looking at what can garner them the most traffic and who maybe has a network that then going to pull some of that network towards them, that community, if that's also a community that they're looking to engage and target.
Yeah, well, if you're a recognizable name that's going to bring traffic, then that's good for them and their advertisers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a big trend this year, and it is a bit of a no-brainer, but I think it's great to discuss it, using media coverage back into paid ads. Did you see a lot of that happen this year?
Yeah, it's been a really, I would say, effective strategy for maybe the last 5 years. I think maybe it's become more so in the last year or so, but enormously valuable. So a lot of my friends who work for big name brands have told me, like hand on heart, that the best performing ads that they have are those that are screen grabs of their media coverage.
Yeah.
So as featured in Vogue, Broadsheet, Sydney Morning Herald, and that just fast tracks that know you, like you, trust you process that we know our customers have to go through to get that click through and conversion more quickly. There are some issues with this. And like I feel like it's irresponsible not to flag it. We all do it. But from a copyright perspective, that is considered copyright infringement. You cannot use a masthead's logo or screenshots from that publication unless you pay for a license to use it. And like with Sydney Morning Herald, I think the license to use an article, and so this is an instance I spoke to someone about. They had paid to do advertorial in Sydney Morning Herald. So it reads like a flattering article about the brand. That was $10,000 to do the article, I think. $10,000 to get license release to be able to share that on social media. Now, this is a very poorly policed domain. So everyone is doing it, but just like, don't say it.
Be warned.
We're all doing it, but it is actually copyright infringement.
Wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, because you see it everywhere. The advertorial especially sparks like, wow, because I feel like that's an ad. Like, let's be honest, it's an ad that I've paid for. I've written it. You've laid it out. It looks like a paper. That's crazy.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting part of media, which has changed in the last 2 years quite dramatically in Australia. It's been around a little bit more longer in the US and I think the UK, but it's affiliate media. So when you read articles, often you'll read it and it'll be a listicle with the 7 best lip glosses. And in the fine print at the top of the article, sometimes at the bottom of the article, it will say, this publication may receive payments in exchange for articles that we endorse. We would never endorse a product that doesn't align with our standards of Vogue or whatever.
Yeah.
To the uninformed reader, A, they don't see that copy.
Of course.
B, if they do, they don't really understand the context that operates within. But essentially, those lists are pay to play. So there might be 7 things in the list. 2 of them might be free, organically there, and 5 of them will be paid. And the order they are in that list will actually be ranked on how much they paid.
Yeah,
But
100.
there's lots of different ways that you can do that, whether that's through Linkbee, where you can submit a brief and you pay cost per click for that. And it might be $2 per click back to your website.
Yeah.
You'll be part of, like, you could pay for a dedicated article or a listicle.
Yeah.
Those things are still up to the publication
Yeah.
whether they run that or not. Like, they are under no obligation to take every brief they receive. The other way is Skimlinks and Rakuten, which is affiliate media, where basically you set yourself up with a commission split that you will give to the publisher based on how many clicks that they receive. So typically it's between 5 and 15% of the full cart, not just the product that is promoted.
Oh, wow.
You
Total
have
order.
full cart. Yep.
Wow. Interesting.
You have to have normally a minimum annual revenue of $1 million on your e-commerce site in order to play that game. And you still go through the normal pitching process, but you would just in your pitch say, hey, as part of Black Friday, we're offering a 20% commission back to the publisher. And that incentivizes them to take your story over someone who might not be offering a commission split or a lesser commission split. But it's just an opportunity to not guarantee, but improve your odds of getting featured. But for smaller businesses that might not be generating $1 million on their e-com sites, a way around that is if you're stocked in a major retailer, like a Myer, David Jones, General Pants, or a multi-brand store, you can actually use the affiliate link of that multi-brand store.
Ah, okay.
So you won't necessarily achieve a lot of benefit in terms of like the sale conversion price on that in the same way, but you get an opportunity for more PR and media visibility, which is going to have a halo effect over
100%.
all the places.
And it's going to keep your stockists very happy.
Exactly. And for people that are working in that B2B space of working with wholesalers and retailers, then everything that you can do to keep that relationship
100%.
in favor.
Yeah.
And they will love that you're sending backlinks to
100%. Exactly. That's so interesting. I guess I haven't really seen that side of PR.
No one has.
Wow, which is a real pay to play, isn't it? It's almost like the paid ads version within PR.
It's been really interesting because those of us in PR, it's been a trying to like claw back the curtains to try and find out what's going on. And for me, for a good 18 months, I reckon I was reaching out to people on Instagram and LinkedIn, like, why does your role have e-commerce in it? What does e-com writer mean? And just digging, because I was like, what does this text mean? This feels weird. I feel uncomfortable. I don't think that's a declaration that helps me understand what it means.
Totally.
And in the end, I developed a course like specifically around this with Linkbee and with affiliate media experts, because I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this and share this, because I know that for product-based businesses, it is such a game changer in terms of getting your foot in the door.
Yeah. And even, I guess, it's sort of like, it's great because it can kind of not guarantee, but help them get that coverage. But then to actually have an actual conversion focus, often in those listicles or in the Vogue spread where they have 10 different products, there's nothing you can click. There's nothing. So you see it, I've got to go off and Google it. I've got to do all the hard work to want to buy it. And a direct click from a major publisher to your website with someone ready to buy, like that is so valuable.
Totally. But also, if you're running a race and you don't know that someone's got taking steroids and got boosters on in the race next to you, you don't know that you're not even in the same race. And that's what I feel like informing people so that they know that don't waste your time on that pitch for some of those publications unless you have set up a skim link or that you've declared, I'm a really small business and we can't afford to get on skim links yet. So just flagging, if you do have any free places, we'd be really grateful. Like, you know, that you're not trying to get a free ride, but actually help a sister out, because there are a lot of publications that they do hold those spaces for like smaller emerging brands that don't yet have like the dollars to give away to on commission splits.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's a really, as I say, a really interesting intersection of paid and PR, I think. And from the consumer's perspective, you're right. They wouldn't understand. And I don't think it's necessarily misleading. And as you said, they are still assessing the products and making sure it's a good fit and those sorts of things.
Sort of.
Look,
I mean, I have lots of thoughts on this because as a publicist working in an industry that is changing enormously, and in the 15 odd years that I've worked in PR, it has changed monumentally. Yeah. I've been so fucking relieved to learn about affiliate media because I have felt, oh my gosh, they're finally doing something that is going to bring meaningful revenue back into publications in a way that is a win-win for all, in that the brands get the exposure, the readers get access to cool things that are happening. Yeah. And those publications are not going to die.
Well,
but
that's
my issue with it is the transparency and how that's communicated with readers, because as a reader, I know that advertising needs to exist. Yeah. I appreciate that the publications need to get paid. I feel like how they communicate that to us as consumers of media could be better to help us be more literate and know when we're being sold to versus when we're not. Yeah. And I think there's some integrity pieces in there. And I know I've spoken to heaps of the e-com writers. They feel really conflicted about it, but they're not the decision makers, right? No. So I do feel like there is a bit of a responsibility from the industry. How can we do this in the most ethical, financially viable way that everyone wins? Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I mean, I was with Revlon and Elizabeth Arden for maybe 3 years combined, and I bought a lot of Tiffany jewelry for a lot of beauty editors. The landscape has changed dramatically, but I feel like we had a different way of swaying, getting on the top 5, and we didn't have a small print of anyone was incentivized, but we were spending a lot of money snoozing a lot of beauty editors, which is still happening. Don't get me wrong. Every journalist and editor you speak to is sorry, I'm on a work for meal right now. I can't come, and they're getting choppered in limousine to private islands and bougie, luxury designer getaways. But also there are the primary mastheads in Australia, your Finns, the Sydney Morning Herald, they all have, I think it's a $30 or maybe $50 cap in gifts they can receive, but by and large they won't even receive that. Yeah. You cannot get in front of them. Bottle. Yeah, which I think is good, because as marketers and brand managers and things, we know why we're buying the presents, and they know why they're receiving. And look, the magazines used to do it to us as the brand managers. I knew why I was receiving the moe at Christmas and getting taken out for lunch and having massages and spa days. It wasn't just because you were such good fun, Marianne. Mainly it was because I was good fun. And because I controlled the $5 million ads budget. Yeah, exactly. Mainly because I was fun. But yeah, I think there is that whole world of reciprocal ass kissing that is part of it. Totally. Awesome. I guess thinking about not PR versus ads, but obviously ads, you do need a good sized budget to get started. And if you're DIYing, you can start with less budget, but you're not running them in the most efficient and effective way. And then you can try to get training to do them. But I think sometimes with ads, you can lose a lot of money trying to get it right. Whereas I think with PR, if you can upskill yourself in how to do it, it's really time that you're investing. And the opportunity is somewhat less predictable than paid ads, where I do this for $1 and I get this action. But the payoff is actually quite a lot larger. If you get featured in a publication that has a 300,000 reach, and then you've got the advocacy of that publication behind you, the results are quite amplified. So I guess I'm just thinking, to wrap up, maybe just thinking about people that are thinking they should invest their time into their own PR and their own presence and trying to get more visibility this way. What would your top tips be? Well, okay, one thing I would say is effort equals reward. And if you need any incentive, I have like any number of people who have done my programs, hundreds of people who have done my programs who have won headlines which have converted into $40,000 in sales from one story or $100,000 over a month. Like if you put your one other client who just comes to mind that I just love talking about, sold her business for $9.5 million. And she texted me the day it happened and she was like, truly, this happened because of the work I did DIYing my PR and winning headlines and putting me in front of decision makers who could pay for that business. So there are from small e-com businesses to large like service providers, this is helpful. The main thing that I would say is 1, dedicate the time and be diligent and consistent with it. So at its best, dedicate 3 hours a week to it. Not everyone's got 3 hours, but if you could dedicate 1 to 2 hours a week, this, like, honestly, it will come back to you every single time. 2, read and listen to anything and everything that you can to upskill, be across the conversations that are happening in your industry so that you can speak with confidence and really be the authority in your space. But the other side of that is what conversations are trending in the media landscape, what journalists are writing about, who's who from doing that research. And then the last part is document your research. And that, I know, like I've talked about this until the cows come home. Fact sheets are absolutely everything. And it is a ball ache to go through the process of actually compiling one of these. But this is basically just collating all of your research and ideas. You read an interesting article, pull out some of the interesting insights, dump it in a Google Doc. Going through that process means that when it comes to writing an opinion editorial or writing a pitch or speaking on a podcast about a topic, done all the research. You don't have to do any preparation, but you can speak with confidence. And you've got data points and people of influence and names you can drop in a conversation so that it's like, it's not just thoughts and ideas, it's actually grounded in information. And to be an expert, to take up space, to build authority and use PR as a vehicle. PR is about shining a light on the new and the best. So if you're not one of those two things, if you're not doing something new, which not many of us are doing, have to be the best, which is like filling yourself with knowledge and insight so that you can speak as the best.
Oh, that's amazing. And I guess you forgot number 4, which is to do your course.
Wow. And do hack your own PR.
Hack your own PR. I mean, obviously, as we alluded to, I've done the course and am doing the course, and it's an amazing piece of work to go through, not just to learn the skills of PR, but the conversations that we've had. There's so much deep introspection, and I think just really kind of looking at what you can earn and what you do love and what you want to be known for. So I think it's a great course, and it's so thorough with so many great resources, which makes it really easy to get started once you're in it.
Oh, thanks, love. Yeah, look, love a PR program plug. I really appreciate it. But yeah, look, honestly, the course is 4 hours of material. But if you do the homework whilst you're doing the program, you've got all your pitches written. It's not like you're just learning and not implementing all of it. You finish the course with 3 pitches, outreach to journalists. You've got a plan. You've got your key messages. You've done your fact sheets. You're ready to roll. So yeah, really super proud of it. We've taught hundreds of business owners now. There are thousands of headlines in the media across Australia and globally that are being generated from the program. And it is like my most delightful, proud, exciting feeling to open messages from students and seeing the headlines they're winning.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's fantastic. And yeah, it's like lots of little children out there. Little children out there performing. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Where is the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, look, LinkedIn or Instagram. Instagram, Odette Co, all one word. And on LinkedIn, just Odette Barry. I'd love to have a little yap with anyone that wants to have a chat.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to everyone again soon. That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.